In this video, we're going to be looking at making a line graph in Excel, and I'm going to show it to you pretty quickly, and then we'll go into some of the details. We'll talk about how you could build line graphs with different types of data, and how we can format our charts a little bit at the end. But to begin with, if all you're looking for is to be able to add a simple line graph, this is going to be the quickest way you can do it. Select your data, and go to the Insert menu. Insert line graph, says line, and it looks like a line, and just press the button. And that's already got it. So what you can see here is actually it didn't quite do what I wanted. So it actually put the year, which should be the x-axis, as a line. So it actually thinks we have two lines of data, and that's not exactly what we're going for. So I'm actually going to press delete on this data after selecting it, and that gets rid of it. And we are going to make sure we're selecting the whole window. We're going to press select data, and we're going to edit our horizontal axis labels. So we're going to add axis label range, and this is going to be our years for the data. So you can see that we now have a single axis line graph, and it's showing our apples by year, apple shipments by year. Now, what we can do is we can do a little bit of formatting here. So if we select the y-axis and right-click it, you can select Format Axis, and that actually allows us to put in a lot of options. And really, we can do whatever we want here. So I'm going to change the number formatting to a currency. So this is actually a revenue now, how much Apple revenues as opposed to numbers, for example. You can do a lot of other things. For example, this display units can be quite useful. You can turn it from none to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and it's actually going to get rid of some of the zeros. So here we'll see that the hundreds all of a sudden becomes 0 through 10. That can be useful if you have too much data in that axis. Now another thing you can do, and you can see how my data is selected here. So if we want to actually say, okay, we don't want to look at years 2000 through 2018. We only want to look at 2015. You can actually drag this data, and it'll remove it on your line chart. So let's make it the full amount again. And another piece that's interesting, you can see this blue box with apples, is we can actually expand it and include apples and bananas. And now you can see we now have two pieces of data on our screen, apples and bananas. Now you can see there's some formatting that might make our lives a little easier. One thing we could potentially do is change this legend, and you can see I still have my chart options box here, and as I click items, it allows me to work through the different options. So if I do this, perhaps we want to show it without the overlapping chart effect, so we can actually save some space, and that can be a good way to save space. Sometimes you want to either change your grid lines. So, for example, we may want to change the line style and do dotted lines to make them a bit less transparent. We can make them a bit smaller, or we can even just get rid of them completely by going to no line. It cleans the data up a bit. Now, another item that is often good for line charts and charts in general is we want to add axis titles. So you can see here on the chart tools and layout, we are going to add an axis title. We're going to add a primary horizontal axis below, and we're going to call that year. And to the left, we're going to add a primary vertical axis, a rotated title, and we're going to call it fruit revenues. And you can see this chart shifted a little bit to create space to bring that axis in. And you can start to see how your chart begins to come together. And you can